Hi there, my name is Rye Moore of Moore Family 3D Printing and Design, and I'm going to show you how to make a custom diamond painting tray in Fusion 360 that you can then 3D print. So what I'd like to do first is get a reference pick up. Since we're doing simple outlines on this diamond painting tray, I look up clip art for some simple bold lines that are easy to copy over into our design. This design is going to be a flower, so I'll look up flower clip art and pick which picture looks like something I can convert into a diamond painting tray. This daisy with the stem extending downwards seems like a good one to go with. We can make that stem into the little shoot at the bottom of most trays. It's also very simplistic, so it'll be an easy design to create in a CAD program like Fusion 360. If you don't have Fusion 360, you can download it by searching Fusion 360 Personal Use. Click on that top option there, and then get Autodesk Fusion for personal use. It'll take you to this login screen where you can create an account and get the free personal use version of Fusion 360. So we have a reference pick, we have Fusion. Now I like to download a free simple version of what I want to create and get some reference measurements. So I went onto Colts 3D and looked up diamond tray, and you tick free, and it'll show you all of the free designs. I picked this one here and imported it into my slicer. You can measure models in most slicers. This is the Anycubic Next slicer, which is very similar to Bamboo or Orca. You click these calipers here, and then you can place points on the model and measure the space between them. So I want the overall size here, so I'll click one side, and then the opposite, to get the overall width, which is 88.7. I like to put my measurements into Notepad as I go. So the overall width, 88.7, so we'll type that in. We'll get the overall height. Can be a little tricky. Position that right. All right, so that's 12 millimeters. What we should do is just get the height of this wall. Let's get the top of that, the floor, 11.002, we'll call it 11. So overall height, 11. And then since the height from the top of the wall to the very bottom of the model was 12, we know that floor of that model is 1 millimeter thick. So we may as well type that in, have a reference for that as well. All right. Now we want the distance between these rows here. Let's kind of zoom in there so we can get that. I'm just going to click at the bottom of this divider here, turn it. Click at the bottom of that divider. Distance is 3.3 millimeters. Restart selection. We want the height and width of the dividers. So this top edge here. Second top edge, 0.7 millimeters is the thickness of the dividers. We'll get the height next. So this edge here, then the edge at the very bottom of this divider, 0.8 millimeters high. And we're going to want measurements on the chute as well. So get that bottom edge to that bottom edge is 5.502. We'll call it 5.5. And then we're going to want the height and width of the outside edge. So we got the height of the outside edge with the overall height. So we just want this width here. So that edge, 1.997. I'm going to call that 2 millimeters. All right, so we have the overall width of the model, the height of the walls, plus the floor, space between the dividers, thickness of the dividers, height of the dividers, width of the chute, width of the outer wall. So we're going to use those as reference measurements as we go. So now we have our reference measurements. I'm going to go click over to Fusion, click Create Sketch here. And it gives you an option of which plane you want to place the sketch on. I'm just going to set it down on the bottom. Now I want a box here that's the same as the overall width of the reference diamond painting tray. I want it in construction mode to show that it's only for a size reference. So I'll go over to the box on the right here and click Construction under Line Type. Then I'm going to go up to the 2-point rectangle and click that. I like the center point rectangle, so I'm going to come back over here and click Center Rectangle. Then I'm going to mouse over my center point on the page here until it gives me an empty green box. Click that green box. Pull my box out a bit. You'll see some numbers on the side and the bottom. You can type your measurements into those boxes. So we're going to get the overall width, 88.7. Type it in the first, 88.7. Press Tab on your keyboard. Type it into the second. Give you a square, and you can either click or you can press Enter on your keyboard. So now we have a box, and we're going to draw our design kind of within the bounds of that box. Just use it as a reference more than anything. You can use your mouse wheel to zoom in and out on it. You can click and drag the mouse wheel to move the screen around, kind of get this nice and centered. Now what I like to do is split the screen with the reference picture. So I click and hold up at the top of the page, drag my cursor all the way to the side until you see that invisible box pop up over half of the screen. Release it. It'll give you options for open programs to split the screen with. I'm going to choose my browser, navigate over to the tab with the clip art, kind of center my box again. Now I want enough space for a good amount of diamonds. I haven't done much diamond art, but I'm sure there's a lot of different hues that you would want to lay out at once for it, so we want a good size kind of central compartment. So I'm going to make that a circle. We want to get our functional components in place before decorating, so we want that central compartment and then the chute leading off of it. So we'll click on center diameter circle for that central compartment. Now click the empty green box on that central point again. Drag it out far enough to give us plenty of space to work with while allowing for space for decoration. And really, we can extend beyond the box here. It's just kind of to give us an idea of how big we're making this thing as we go. But I'm also going to click on construction here so that we make this a bold line, which means it's actually part of the design and not just kind of a reference. So I'm going to put my center circle up a bit close to that box, since really our reference tray had no decoration and that was all central compartment. I want you to make a note of the area within our line here turning blue. This means you can manipulate that part of the sketch later by extruding it, etc. If the area within the bounds of your line doesn't turn blue, that means it's disconnected somewhere. So put a spline down, connect it to the circle here, and then just barely not connect it. You see that space remains transparent. Means you won't be able to do anything with that area later, so we want to be making sure that while we're laying down lines, they're connecting to other lines properly. Delete that. Now I want to get my chute set up. I'm going to place a reference line down at the bottom that's the same width as the chute on a reference model. So I'll go up to line, click on construction. You can see we can place a line at the snap point, at the halfway point at the bottom of the circle. So what I'm going to do, and this is my way of getting around doing some math, is click on that center point and drag it in one direction and type in our whole width measurement for that chute. So reference that, 5.5. So go 5.5. You want to make sure the angle says 0 or 180 degrees. Type in 5.5. Click that green arrow. And the other direction. 5.5, 0 degrees. Click the green check mark. Now the next line we put down is going to snap to the halfway points on these lines. See that little triangle there? That tells you that's the halfway point of this line here. So we're going to click there, go to the halfway point of the other one, click there, and we're going to hit select up here, kind of zoom in, and you can see this line is lighting up separate from these lines. So let's delete these lines. So you just kind of click anywhere outside of that third line there, delete, click here, delete. Now we just have the third line, which is the exact width of the chute that we need. And it's perfectly centered. Now you can click inspect and click the dot on either side of it to measure and make sure. So there and there. Under results, next to distance, we have 5.5 on the dot. So there's a measurement, matches the width we need. I want to sort of build this into the design, so I'm going to curve the chute out just a bit. Not too much or it'll affect the function, but enough to look like a flower stem. Going to click on line, construction. Now we're going to lay this chute out about the same distance as we want the petals. So let's say maybe around there. Go off to the left a little bit here. Do our 5.5 width. Check mark. Now we want this to kind of curve, so we're going to use a fit point spline. Right up here, this kind of wavy line. We're going to go down because we want this connected to the circle, not to our reference line here. So we kind of mouse over this point on our reference line, and then when we mouse over up to the circle here, it snaps. So click there, zoom back out, click there, green check mark. Do the same on the other side. You'll see these green handles pop up. That's what you can use to manipulate the curve on a 5-point spline. So you just kind of grab that, get this curve sort of just looking decent. Try to match it a bit on the other side. All right, looks good. Now if we leave the chute as is, it'll be difficult for the diamonds to slide through. So we're going to create a curve leading into it with splines again. This isn't going to be an exact science, it's just kind of whatever is going to eliminate these corners here that would catch the diamonds up. So we're going to go out maybe a little further just to make sure we can get a nice little drift going into that chute. Go maybe a little less than halfway on the chute. Now to get this to kind of flow into each other, we can take this handle and we can snap it to the circle and then sort of slide it along till you get a nice curve there. We can do the same here for the chute. There we go. Got a good curve going there. Now we're going to do it on the other side. We can snap directly opposite of that point by mousing over it and dragging across. Make sure we keep that green dotted line there. All right, snap there. Then do the same with the lower point. Snap our handles to our chute and our circle. That looks good. Now we're going to trim all of this out of here. So we go up to this scissors, this trim tool, and then it'll trim anything that is kind of beyond the point where it connects here. So we'll click on all these inside lines, get rid of those. Click on select to make sure you don't trim anything you don't mean to. Oh, we got something else here. All right, that should be everything. Now we're going to place another outline outside of this one that we got going on here. We can check a reference for the outside edge width. So the width of the outer wall, 2 millimeters. So we're going to go to this offset, click on that, and click on as much as we can of this because sometimes it doesn't let you click on everything, as you can see here. Nope, maybe. Okay. All right, so we're going to hit 2 millimeters. Now, this went to the inside, and I want this to go to the outside, so we're going to hit flip here. So there's that outside edge. So this is going to be a wall. So we want this part to be open. So we're going to go to line, zoom in, mouse over one of these points, go across to where the chute is. Do the same for the other side. And now we're going to trim out all of this down here. All right, so when we extrude this outer wall, that's going to stay open. Now we need our dividers for the inside here to finish up our functional components so we can get to the fun part, decorating. If we look at our reference model here, we see that the dividers touch the wall up here, but down here, they don't. So that they can create a space for the gems to all kind of slide out through that chute there. So we're going to measure between where the dividers end and where the wall begins. So we hit our tool, get the edge at the end of there to the wall, 12.7. All right, so we're going to go back. We're going to lay a construction line somewhere kind of towards the bottom here. Doesn't really matter where, just maybe a little higher up. Then we're going to find the center of that, measure up 12.7. And we're going to place a line out to this side and line out to the other. And this next step I'm going to do in kind of more of a tedious way than it really needs to be done, but it also involves less math, so it's up to you how you want to do it. But we're going to create basically the outside edges of these dividers down at the bottom here, and then we're going to extend lines up so that we create kind of the walls like here. Alright, so we're going to find that center there. And we have the space between the dividers is 3.3 divided by 2 is 1.65, so we're going to do half. The space between the dividers this way. And half the other way to create one full divider space. Get another line, turn construction off, because now we're creating the width on the dividers. So click there. Let's check our divider width. Our thickness, 0.7. So come over here, 0.7. So now we have one bold line. We got the construction line for, representing the space. And we're going to kind of just pattern that out until we get to a spot where it's not really going to be enough space to do us any good, like probably around here-ish. Another thing you can do, though, if you want to do some math, is go up here to this drop-down menu under Create and go to Rectangular Pattern. And then kind of figure out, click on the bold line there. Then you can go in two directions if you want. And kind of copy that line out to wherever you want to. But again, it involves math, and I don't feel like doing that right now. So I'm going to do it the tedious way, so give me a moment. So we got 3.3 from this to this, 0.7 is this line, then 3.3 for this space, 0.7 for this line, and just pattern it out. Once we have all of these lines down, we're going to create our dividers. So we're going to make a bold line from one end of each bold line. To the inside of the outside wall here. And just do that for each one. We actually probably can fit one more to either side of this. If your reference lines get in your way, delete them. With that, we have all of our structural components, so we can move on to decorating. So we want to get some petals up. We can do another reference line here. Probably delete this. Get out of my way. All right. So the petals will want what? Maybe 8 millimeters to either side. Now we're going to go to our fit point spline, take off construction, and we're going to snap this to where those points end, put on the circle. So click there, we come up here, we want roughly the same height as that, and we're going to snap it to the center line here. Maybe around there. Come down here, snap that underneath the point there. Get this where you want it to be. And if you want to do kind of an extra fancy petal, what you can do is you can right click your spline and click Insert Spline Fit Point. Put different points different places. Manipulate the curve even further. Get kind of a dynamic shape going there. Looks nice. All right, we're going to offset this by the outside wall width, which is 2 millimeters. Flip that to the outside. All right, now we got to make sure, see here how this is not lighting up. So that means this is not connecting somewhere. So we come down here and see where the problem is. We just got to trim that. Easy enough. Other side. Now this one we need to connect. So we're just going to take a line and connect it. And you can see it light up there. All right. So we don't have to do each petal manually. What we can do is we can go to Create and then Circular Pattern. Click on all of the lines, including this little line we placed to connect here. Now click on the box next to the center point. Click on the center point of the model and you can see these other petals pop up here. Now we obviously want more than those, so we're going to hit this up arrow. Just kind of keep clicking it until we have enough petals. I'd like to make sure they're touching here, just because that gives us a good coverage. Maybe even go up. One more. There we go. So that way these walls aren't going to be too thick. That's looking nice. Now you can do other details if you want, like some petals behind the petals. Offset that. I think I'll offset it inward. Use a spline to connect it. So you get a curve on there. Alright, that looks okay. Now we'll do our circular pattern. We have 15. So there's that. Then I might do a little central line here just for the fun of it. Make that the same width as the dividers. Roughly. Circular pattern. $15. Alright. Now down here you can see that we have the petals overlapping the shoot, which we do not want. So we're going to go ahead and delete these lines. And that'll free up our shoot there. And that's our sketch. So we're going to click Finish Sketch. Now you can see as you mouse over, all of these are spaces that can be manipulated. So we did good here. Now we're going to extrude the floor of this. And we said it was 1 millimeter. I'm going to probably go with 2. Just thicken it up a little bit, make it a little more durable. So what we're going to do is we're going to click and hold anywhere far enough outside of this where we're going to get the entire model. So we're going to drag a square there, select everything, hit extrude, And now we're going to do -2 because we are going to want to extrude parts of this sketch upwards as well. So we want the sketch on top of the floor of the model. Hit OK. Now you see the sketch disappeared, but we can get that back by going up here to Sketches, go to the arrow next to it, and then click this little eye icon next to Sketch 1. And we're back. So now we're going to extrude these thicker outer walls first. And that overall height is 11, so we're going to extrude those to 11. So I'm in here. This, I don't really know if there's a quicker, better way to do it. Feel free to drop it in the comments if you know. Just select everything that's going to be an outer wall. So every last one of these profiles. That's the 2mm offset. Make sure we got everything. Looks like it. All right, 11. And then operation join. You can do join, you can do cut, intersect, new body, new component. We want to do join. So that'll join that with the bottom of the model there. Now we're going to go through and extrude these thinner profiles. As soon as we figure out what went wrong here. Hit the reference line. So we'll just extend that. On both sides. There we go. Circular pattern. That should fix it for all of them. Just make sure. Yep, looks like it. All right. Back here. We're going to extrude all these thinner profiles. Figure out the divider height. 0.8. So extrude these up by 0.8. So that's everything extruded. And now if we want to do a pen holder, we can kind of just pick a spot on the model where we think it might work. Extrude that up. Create a sketch on top of it. And we need a center point. So we're going to kind of make a box here. Make a cross. Middle of that box, but we want it kind of more towards the thicker part of this. So cut that in half again. All right. Maybe one more time. I'd say about there is good. Alright, so we need to know the width of a pen, a diamond painting pen. So we're going to go back to our browser, look that up. Diamond painting pen dimensions. Looks like 1.3 to 1.8 centimeters, which is going to be 13 to 18 millimeters. We're going to go with the 18 millimeters just to make it a little more universal. But as you can see, that's not going to fit very well right there. So maybe we will use this center point. Let's see what 18 is. All right. May not blend in the best with the model, but it'll be what we need. Offset this. Let's go by 1 millimeter. Finish sketch. Now we're going to extrude this part down by 11 to create kind of a hole in the center where the pen's going to fit. Turn that sketch back on. And now we are going to extrude this in 2 different directions. So this is going to go -11, but instead of cut, we're going to do join. So now we have a hole there, and a nice little circular portion where it's going to go. But we want this to extend upwards too, so that it's a little more stable. So extrude that outer circle upwards by maybe 20. And we got our pen holder portion. That ends up not being tall enough, then you can always go back and extrude it further. And if you don't like it, you can always just hit back until you're back to where you were before even creating the sketch. I'm going to put it in there for kicks. But there we have our diamond painting tray. So we're going to save it. Diamond tray, flower. Now we have to export it. So go to export. Make sure in this drop-down menu you have STL selected. Click the 3 dots here, navigate to a folder to save it to. Export. Now we're going to go to our slicer. Import it. Then slice and print. And then you'll have your very own custom diamond painting tray.